The Tylorian hegemony, rulers of 17 star systems, convenes in their crystalline war chamber aboard the flagship Inevitable Dominion. Supreme Commander Vexloth, scared from 100 conquests, displays holographic footage of Earth, children playing in parks, gridlock traffic, and primitive aircraft. Another world of pre-FTL savages, he sneers. Vexloth's four-fingered hand passes through the holographic display, zooming in on military installations. The images show outdated missile silos, aircraft carriers that still burn hydrocarbons, and ground forces using primitive ballistic weapons. Their technology is inconsistent, notes Intelligence Officer Miralox, her violet eyes narrowing as she studies the data. They achieved rudimentary space travel, then seemingly abandoned it. They created nuclear weapons, then limited their use. Their military development pattern is unusual. Her voice, always measured and precise, draws irritated glances from the command staff. Miralox was known for her excessive caution, a trait the hegemony found increasingly tiresome in their era of unchallenged expansion. Unusual? Vexloth laughs, the sound echoing off the crystalline walls. It's the pattern of a species too busy fighting itself to present a unified defense. Look at their governing structures, hundreds of separate nations, competing economies, tribal conflicts that have persisted for centuries. The hologram shifts to display Earth's communication networks, social media feeds, and news broadcasts, all showing division, conflict, and political fragmentation. Fleet Admiral Zorthal, his ceremonial armor gleaming under the chamber's lights, steps forward. The Conquest assessment gives this planet a difficulty rating of only 2.1. Standard protocol suggests a demonstration strike followed by terms of surrender. Precisely. Vexloth agrees, manipulating the hologram to display the planned approach vector. We'll emerge at the edge of their system, neutralize their primitive communications, and demonstrate our superiority. The psychological impact alone should secure their surrender within hours. Miralox accesses her datapad, scrolling through anomalous readings. Commander, permission to address a discrepancy. Vexloth sighs. Quickly, Intelligence Officer. Their military technology advances disproportionately faster than their civilian infrastructure, she says, projecting a comparative analysis. Their space program achieved lunar landing with rudimentary technology, then inexplicably scaled back. Their weapons development continues at an accelerated pace, while their energy production remains inefficient. These are not the patterns we've observed in other developing species. Weapons Officer Krelvin snorts dismissively. Perhaps they're simply stupid. Maybe they can build weapons but can't figure out how to power their cities efficiently. Laughter ripples through the command staff. Even Vexloth smiles, displaying teeth filed to ceremonial points, a tradition among hegemony conquerors. Or perhaps, Miralox continues undeterred. They're concealing their true capabilities. The laughter stops. Vexloth's expression hardens. Are you suggesting this pre-FTL world, not even united under a single government, is engaged in some galaxy-spanning deception? He asks, voice dangerously low. Miralox hesitates. Put so bluntly, her concerns sound absurd. I merely suggest we deploy additional reconnaissance before committing to standard conquest protocol. Vexloth waves a hand dismissively. Request denied. The targeting matrix has already selected optimal strike zones. He zooms the hologram to Earth's natural satellite. We'll carve the hegemony symbol into this barren moon. A demonstration of power they cannot misinterpret. The species that fights itself cannot unite against us. The command staff nods in agreement. Tactical officers begin finalizing the assault parameters, while Miralox stands silently, her concerns dismissed but not dispelled. As the meeting disperses, she returns to her station, activating a private terminal. Against protocol, she archives her disturbing analysis, encrypting it with her personal cipher. Something about these humans troubled her. Their historical development followed no logical pattern she recognized from hundreds of previous conquests. The Tylorian conquest machine was already in motion. Vexloth had activated the psych warfare protocols, designed to exploit the social divisions detected on Earth. The Vanguard fleet's engines hummed with power as they aligned with the shimmering hyperspace portal. Miralox's final data point blinks on her screen before she closes the file. Humans appear to thrive on conflict in ways no other species does. It was an observation that would prove far more prophetic than she could imagine. The Ylorian ships emerge from hyperspace in a cascade of blue-white light, their silver hulls reflecting the distant glow of Sol. 12 vessels in formation, led by the massive Inevitable Dominion, take position beyond Mars' orbit. Deployment complete, announces Navigator Brental. No detection of advanced scanning technology from the planet. On the command deck, Vexloth stands before the tactical display. Earth rotates slowly, its blue-green surface mottled with cloud patterns. Begin communication suppression, he orders. Specialist Renvax activates the quantum interference array. Jamming fields activated, Commander. Their global networks are disrupted. Primitive satellite systems disabled. Military communications compromised. Weapons Officer Krulvin steps forward, his ceremonial armor gleaming. First strike cannon charged and ready, Commander. Proceed with demonstration, Vexloth commands, settling into his elevated chair. The Inevitable Dominion's hull parts along invisible seams, revealing a weapon the length of 3 Earth skyscrapers. Energy coalesces at its focal point, building to a blinding intensity before releasing a concentrated beam toward Earth's moon. The Sea of Tranquility erupts in a blinding flash. Lunar dust and rock vaporize instantly as the beam carves the hegemony's dominance glyph, a complex spiral pattern signifying inevitability. 1 kilometer deep into the surface. Strike successful, Krulvin reports, satisfaction evident in his voice. The glyph will be visible to their naked eye. Broadcast the ultimatum, Vexloth orders. All Earth languages, all frequencies. On the ISS Harmony, astronaut commander Sarah Chen floats in the observation module, her face illuminated by the afterglow of the lunar strike. Her hands tremble as she captures footage of the devastation. Houston, she whispers into her comm. They targeted the Apollo landing sites. Armstrong's footprint is gone. Static answers her. All Earth communications are disrupted, screens worldwide displaying only the alien symbol now carved into the lunar surface. Send the emergency beacon, she tells her Russian colleague, Colonel Petrov. Protocol Omega. As Petrov activates the hidden quantum entanglement transmitter, technology officially not possessed by any Earth nation, Chen watches a single Terra float away in the zero gravity. On Earth, the scenario unfolds exactly as the Tylorians predicted. Stock markets crash. Riots erupt in major cities. Religious leaders proclaim the end times. Military forces worldwide mobilize, but with communications compromised, coordination appears impossible. 12 hours after the demonstration strike, Vexloth addresses his officers. Their panic is proceeding on schedule. Their military response is disorganized. Surrender Shoal. Commander, interrupts communications officer Trinval. We're receiving a transmission from the humans. Vexloth raises an eyebrow ridge. From their planetary government. That's unclear, sir. It's a unified signal, but the origin point is. Trinval hesitates, checking his readings. It appears to be coming from their moon. Impossible, Vexloth snaps. Their lunar outpost was abandoned decades ago, according to our intelligence. Nevertheless, sir, the signal originates from the lunar far side. Designation: Luna Base Alpha. Play it, Vexloth orders, his confidence wavering for the first time. A voice, calm, measured and speaking perfect Xylorian, fills the command deck. You have destroyed hallowed ground. Prepare for consequences. Silence falls over the bridge. Vexloth recovers quickly, laughing to dispel the tension. Primitive bravado. Their translator must have captured our language from our broadcast. But Intelligence Officer Miralox notices something the others miss. subtle inflections that suggest not machine translation, but fluent command of their language. She accesses her terminal, isolating the transmission source. The signal indeed came from the far side of the moon, from a facility that appeared on no Xylorian scan. "Commander," she says quietly, "request permission to conduct deep spectrum analysis of the lunar far side." "Denied," Vexeloth replies irritably. "It's an empty rock." Their response is merely theatrical defiance before inevitable surrender. Myralox returns to her station, unease growing. In her private log, she notes, "First contact protocols following standard patterns, but human response suggests pre-knowledge of Xylorian psychology. Recommendation: full retreat and reassessment." She knows her recommendation will never be read until it's too late. 3 days of tense silence pass. The Xylorian fleet maintains position near Mars, sensors continuously scanning Earth for signs of capitulation. On the bridge of the inevitable Dominion, Vexeloth paces impatiently. "Their formal surrender is overdue," he growls. "Increase pressure. Target their orbital satellites." Before the order can be executed, alarm klaxons blare across the command deck. Multiple launches detected from Earth's surface. Sensor Officer Paxran announces, voice rising in pitch. Thousands of objects, rising on chemical propellant. The tactical display fills with trajectories, each originating from different continents, all converging toward the Xylorian fleet's position. "Primitive missiles?" Vexeloth asks, unmoved. "As expected." "Negative, Commander," Paxran replies, confusion evident. "They appear to be spacecraft, crude vessels, hastily constructed. Minimal shielding, basic life support." The tactical display zooms in on one of the approaching craft, a cylindrical vessel with chemical rockets, its hull bearing mismatched panels and exposed wiring. "Pathetic," Vexeloth sneers. "They've cobbled together evacuation ships. Kralvin, demonstration barrage. Scatter their fleet, but allow survivors to return with tales of our mercy." "Targeting solutions acquired," Kralvin confirms, fingers dancing across his console. Firing. Streams of energy lance out from the Xylorian vessels, and miss. The crude vessels perform impossible evasive maneuvers, their heat signatures fluctuating wildly. "Impossible," Kralvin whispers, firing again with the same result. These trajectories defy their construction parameters. Deep within NORAD's quantum-shielded command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Brazilian General Isabella Vega monitors the engagement, her weathered face illuminated by holographic displays. Around her, officers from 30 nations coordinate the most elaborate military deception in human history, decoys performing as expected. Her Chinese counterpart, General Li, confirms. Xylorian targeting systems are calibrated to predict conventional flight paths. Vega nods. They're still firing energy weapons on predictive algorithms. Deploy Phase 2. Lai enters the command sequence, his fingerprint and retinal scan confirming the authorization. "May our ancestors watch over us." Throughout the solar system, stealth fields disengage. The asteroid belt shimmers as massive hangar doors open, revealing sleek warships that had been hidden in plain sight for decades. The Martian dust storm that had been raging for months dissipates, swirling nanites revealing a massive orbital shipyard suspended above the red planet. Aboard the inevitable Dominion, sensor technician Zixera stares at her console in disbelief as the readings transform. "Commander," she calls, voice trembling. "New contacts. Hundreds, no, thousands of vessels. There." She hesitates, recalibrating her instruments. They're emerging from concealed positions throughout the system. "Impossible," Vexeloth whispers, watching as the tactical display transforms. Where moments ago they faced a scattered fleet of primitive vessels, now an organized armada of advanced ships moves with coordinated precision. "Sir," Zixera continues, horror growing, "these vessels bear no resemblance to known human technology. These are military-grade warships with weapon systems that match or exceed our own. Intelligence Officer Miralox steps forward, face grim. We've been scanning false imagery for decades. Their development pattern wasn't inconsistent. It was deliberate misdirection. The truth dawns with terrible clarity. Earth never demilitarized after their world wars. They never abandoned their space program. They merely created the illusion of peace while building the most formidable defense system the galaxy has ever seen. On the main view screen, a transmission appears. Admiral Wei Chen of the Terran Defense Force, her uniform bearing insignia that exist in no public Earth record. Silurian aggressors, she states calmly, you were warned. The Apollo landing site you destroyed was humanity's first step to the stars. Now you will witness our next. All ships, combat formation Theta 9. Vexloth commands, his voice steady despite the shock reverberating through the command deck. Years of military training override his disbelief as the elegant Silurian vessels rearrange into textbook defensive formations. The Silurian fleet's maneuver is beautiful to witness, a synchronized dance of massive warships, their silver hulls gleaming as photon shields shimmer to life, forming an interlocking defensive network. Energy weapons charge, their distinctive blue glow illuminating the void. Aboard the TDF Retribution, Admiral Wei Chen watches the display with clinical interest. A tactical genius who graduated top of her class at the secret Lunar Military Academy, she spent her career preparing for this moment. Predictable, she murmurs. Textbook hegemony defensive pattern. They're still fighting the last war. She taps her command chair's interface. All ships, execute Operation Joiner. Her XO, Commander Jackson, nods. Roadies of GOAD protocols authorized. Targeting solutions distributed to all railgun platforms. Across the human fleet, weapons batteries that had remained dormant for decades come to life. Unlike the elegant energy weapons of the hegemony, these are brutally simple machines, electromagnetic accelerators designed to launch solid tungsten rods at relativistic speeds. Fire, Chen orders softly. The human ships remain dark, emitting no energy signatures as their kinetic weapons silently release their payloads. The only indication of attack is a brief flash as magnetic fields accelerate the metal projectiles to near-light speed. On that Silurian flagship, Vexloth smiles confidently. Their vessels show no weapons activation. Perhaps this display of force is merely. His words die as the dreadnought peaceful subjugation to their starboard suddenly splits in half. No explosion, no energy discharge. The massive vessel simply separates along a perfect line. Atmosphere and crew venting silently into space. What weapon did this? Vexloth demands, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. Before anyone can respond, 3 more Silurian vessels suffer the same fate. The tactical display becomes a chaos of confusion as their elegant defensive formation disintegrates. Kinetic weapons, Intelligence Officer Miralox realizes, horror dawning. They're using physical projectiles at relativistic speeds. Our shields are calibrated for energy dispersion, not physical impacts. The Silurian fleet, designed to counter the energy weapons used by all known spacefaring races, has no defense against this primitive yet devastatingly effective approach. As the initial barrage concludes, Admiral Chen opens a channel. Your advanced shields are impressive against lasers and plasma, she says, quoting from an ancient human text. But as Sun Tzu wrote over 4,000 years ago, all warfare is based on deception. Vexloth has no time to process this as alarms blare again. Multiple small craft approaching. Tactical Officer Zexmore shouts. They're boarding parties. Unlike the streamlined Silurian soldiers genetically engineered for efficiency and elegance, the approaching boarding craft disgorge monstrosities. Humans in mechanized exoskeletons that double their size, their armor pitted and scarred from what appears to be previous combat. The first breaching team, Sigma Squad from the United States Space Force, cuts through the inevitable Dominion's hull using industrial mining lasers. Squad leader Master Sergeant Dwayne Rodriguez activates his helmet cam, broadcasting to all Earth forces as per standard Morale protocols. Knock knock, he quips, charging his shotgun as the hull plate falls inward. Security footage from the inevitable Dominion streams to the horrified Silurian command. Humans in powered armor smashing through internal bulkheads, their primitive ballistic weapons, shotguns, railguns, even combat knives, proving brutally effective in ship corridors. More disturbing still is their behavior. These humans laugh as they engage, continuing to fight effectively even after sustaining injuries that would incapacitate other species. In the command deck, Miralox watches the footage with growing comprehension. "Sir," she whispers, "they've evolved alongside predators. Pain doesn't stop them. It triggers chemical responses that enhance their combat effectiveness." As if confirming her analysis, the broadcast shows a human Marine continuing to fight with a severed arm, using his remaining hand to jam an explosive into a critical system while laughing. They're not just fighting, Miralox realizes with dawning horror. They're enjoying it. Disengage. Full retreat. Vexlov orders, his imperial confidence shattered as reports of breached decks and critical systems failures flood the command center. Around him, the once pristine bridge of the inevitable Dominion lies in disarray, emergency lighting casting crimson shadows across panicked faces. 7 of the 12 Silurian vessels are already lost, either destroyed by the relativistic kinetic weapons or captured by boarding parties. The remaining 5, including the flagship, execute emergency disengagement protocols, breaking formation and accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. "Prepare jump drives," Vexlov commands. "We must reach the Proxima outpost and alert the hegemony." Engineering Officer Telvac's face appears on the command screen, soot-stained and harried. "Jump drives are non-responsive, Commander. The humans deployed some form of targeted electromagnetic pulse. We can achieve only 70% of standard sublight speed." In the ship's infirmary, medical staff struggle to treat wounded Silurians who babble about the human borders, soldiers who continued fighting despite grievous injuries, warriors who exhibited no fear, only exhilaration. "They severed Krentel's arm," one security officer whispers, trembling uncontrollably. And he just watched them do it. He was curious about their biology as they killed him. The damaged Silurian vessels limp away from Earth at their maximum achievable velocity, making for the Proxima outpost, the nearest hegemony stronghold, still weeks away at their compromised speed. For the first day, Vexlov allows himself to believe they've escaped. The humans have defended their system, a surprising but not unprecedented outcome. Surely they would not risk following a retreating enemy into the depths of space, where hegemony reinforcements might await. That belief shatters on the 3rd day. "Commander," Communications Officer Trinval announces, voice hollow with disbelief. "Long-range sensors detect multiple signatures in pursuit. It's the human fleet." The tactical display confirms the impossible. The Terran Defense Force vessels are following them into deep space, methodically, relentlessly. "This violates all conventions of interstellar conflict," Vexlov whispers. "No species pursues a retreating force beyond their defensive perimeter." Intelligence Officer Miralox, now vindicated in her caution, but finding no satisfaction in it, studies the approaching human fleet. "Sir, they're matching our exact velocity. They could overtake us, but are choosing not to. They're deliberately extending the pursuit." Trinval's console emits a series of alerts. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from the pursuing vessels, but they're not military communications." "What then?" Vexlov demands. "It's some form of entertainment broadcast. Audio patterns with rhythmic speech." Trinval patches the transmission through the ship's speakers, and the command deck fills with pounding percussion, wailing string instruments, and human voices shouting lyrics about vengeance, glory, and the thrill of the hunt. War songs, Miralox realizes, reviewing the cultural database she had compiled on humans. Ancient Earth warriors would sing these before and during battle to intimidate enemies and strengthen their resolve. They're broadcasting entertainment while hunting us. Trinval whispers, removing his communication implant to escape the pounding rhythm. This isn't warfare to them. It's sport. In her private quarters, Miralox reconstructs footage of the lunar attack, studying it frame by frame. The realization hits with terrible clarity. The Sea of Tranquility wasn't simply a random target. Historical archives show it was humanity's first extraterrestrial landing site, preserved for centuries as a monument to their expansion into space. "We didn't just attack their territory," she murmurs. "We desecrated what they consider sacred ground." Meanwhile, aboard the pursuing flagship Retribution, Admiral Chen receives a quantum-encrypted communication from Earth Command. No quarter for command staff. Bring back Vexilov alive for trial. The Artemis Accords were clear. The moon was protected territory. Chen turns to her squadron leaders displayed on the bridge's view screen. Officers from Russia, China, India, the European Union, and a dozen other nations. "Deploy the Valkyrie squadrons," she orders. "I want to see the look in their eyes when they realize running only makes this worse." The elite Valkyrie pilots, all women, named after the female warrior spirits of Norse mythology, who decided who lived and died in battle, acknowledged the order with predatory smiles before their feeds cut out. Aboard the inevitable Dominion, Vexilov stares at the tactical display, showing the distance between their vessels and their pursuers, a gap that isn't growing despite their best efforts to flee. What kind of species pursues a retreating enemy? He asks no one in particular. "The kind," Miralox answers quietly, "that evolved as pursuit predators. Human ancestors would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They're not just following us, Commander. They're hunting us." The crystalline dome of the High Council chamber on Siloria Prime refracts sunlight into prismatic patterns across the assembled dignitaries. 17 counselors, one for each conquered system, sit in concentric rings around the central projection platform. Supreme Council leader Drac Moore, his ceremonial headdress denoting 5 centuries of leadership, raises a hand for silence as Vexilov's emergency transmission materializes. The hologram flickers, damage to the inevitable Dominion's communication array evident in the degraded signal. Vexilov's image appears haggard, his once immaculate uniform torn and stained. "High Council," he begins, voice uncharacteristically urgent. "The Terra campaign has failed catastrophically. The humans concealed their true technological capabilities and military readiness. They are unlike any species we've encountered. Unpredictable, adaptive, using technologies we thought incompatible." Murmurs ripple through the council as footage from the battle plays. Silurian ships split by kinetic weapons, boarding parties of humans in mechanized armor fighting with primitive but devastating effectiveness. Their tactics defy conventional doctrine. Vexilov continues desperately. "They pursue us beyond their system boundaries. My remaining vessels cannot outrun them. Abort all expansion plans toward their sector immediately." The humans are not. The transmission cuts abruptly as Dracmore gestures dismissively. "Clearly, battle shock," he pronounces, his voice resonating with genetically engineered authority. "No pre-FTL species could challenge our armada." High General Kravtur steps forward. "The footage is concerning. Supreme Leader, these human weapons, manufactured," Dracmore interrupts, "a convenient fabrication to excuse failure. We've seen this before when commanders face unexpected resistance." Council Defense Minister Luxvin nods agreement. Psychological assessment of Commander Vexilov has always indicated susceptibility to overestimation of threats. A single lunar outpost hidden from our scans doesn't indicate system-wide deception. Yet several junior counselors appear troubled by the combat footage, showing humans continuing to fight while grievously wounded, their faces expressing not pain but exhilaration. Meanwhile, across the galaxy at the Galactic Conclave Station, a neutral diplomatic hub where dozens of species maintain embassies, Human Ambassador Kwame Okonkwo addresses representatives from 15 space-faring civilizations. His presentation is calm, measured, and devastating, high-definition footage of the lunar bombardment, the destruction of humanity's historic first landing site, followed by the Silurian ultimatum demanding Earth's surrender. "We come seeking not conquest, but justice," Okonkwo declares, his deep voice carrying moral authority. The Silurian hegemony has expanded unchecked for centuries, annexing 17 systems. They attacked Earth without provocation, destroying a site of profound historical significance. He pauses, allowing the implications to settle before continuing. Earth seeks allies against this aggression. We offer partnership terms based on mutual respect and shared defense. As the formal presentation concludes, the Arcturian ambassador, an ancient species known for their neutrality, requests a private audience. In the secure chamber, the ambassador's crystalline form shimmers with curiosity. "You concealed your true development level. Why?" Okonkwo's response sends a chill through the alien dignitaries. "History taught us that powerful civilizations that announce themselves rarely survive first contact. We studied the galaxy long before we revealed ourselves." "How long?" the Arcturian inquires. "We recovered our first Silurian scout ship crash in 1947, Okonkwo reveals. "We've been preparing ever since." Within days, species long oppressed by Silurian expansion provide humans with hyperspace maps, communication protocols, and intelligence on hegemony defenses. The Arcturians, impressed by human ingenuity, offer phase shield technology, a defensive system previously thought incompatible with kinetic weapons. Aboard the pursuing Retribution, engineers integrate Arcturian phase shields with human railgun technology, a combination that Silurians had deemed theoretically impossible. In the bowels of the fleeing inevitable Dominion, Intelligence Officer Miralax makes a horrifying discovery while reviewing historical archives. 3 Silurian scout ships had gone missing near Earth's solar system over the past century. With dawning terror, she realizes the humans have been reverse engineering Silurian technology for decades, preparing for this very confrontation while maintaining a facade of primitive development. "They knew we were coming," she whispers to herself. "They've been waiting for us all along." The hegemony's Grand Armada arrives at Proxima Outpost with fanfare and ceremony, 200 vessels strong. The massive space installation, half military fortress, half administrative center, orbits a barren world at the edge of Silurian space. Grand Admiral Zexor, his ceremonial armor adorned with trophies from a dozen conquered species, addresses the assembled captains in the outpost's Great Hall. Holographic displays show the approaching human fleet, now swollen with vessels of Allied design. "These primitives have achieved a single victory through deception and surprise," Zexor declares, his amplified voice echoing through the hall. "Today, we shall demonstrate the true might of the hegemony and expand our dominion as is our right." The captains cheer, their confidence bolstered by overwhelming numerical superiority. Only the remnants of Vexeloth's once proud fleet, huddled in defensive formation near the outpost, remain silent, their crews hollow-eyed from weeks of being hunted across the void. Intelligence Officer Miralax, now serving as acting tactical officer after the death of her superior, attempts once more to warn of the humans' adaptability. Again, her concerns are dismissed. Deep space sensors detect a hyperspace rupture forming at the edge of the system. But something is wrong. The rupture signature is enormous, impossibly so. "Energy profile exceeds any known dimensional breach," announces the sensor officer, checking his readings twice. It's as if they've modified the hyperspace entry protocols. The human fleet emerges, now 3 times larger and accompanied by vessels of Arcturian, Rigelian, and even Draconian design. Before the Silurian fleet can organize, quantum communication networks are flooded with a signal carrying a strange pattern that overwhelms their encryption. "We're being hacked," cries the communications officer. "Something is corrupting our targeting systems." Throughout the Silurian fleet, weapons systems suddenly target their own vessels. Shields drop. Navigation systems crash. The carefully orchestrated defense dissolves into chaos within minutes. Admiral Chen implements Operation Thermopylae, named after an ancient Earth battle where a small force decimated a numerically superior one. Human Marines in next-generation powered armor, incorporating technology from 5 different species, breached the orbital defenses. Helmet camera footage streams throughout the sector. Humans using psychological warfare tactics derived from millennia of their own bloody history. They broadcast the sounds of ancient war drums through the station's communication systems. They leave the bodies of Silurian officers posed in ways designed to demoralize those who find them. They move with a coordination that suggests both rigorous training and near-telepathic unit cohesion. In the command center, Grand Admiral Zexor watches his Grand Armada reduced to debris in hours, not the glorious days-long battle he had promised. The tactical display shows human vessels advancing in formations unknown to Silurian military doctrine, adapting in real time to each defensive measure. How? He demands of no one in particular. How are they coordinating these attacks? The answer comes from an unexpected source. The station's primary defense grid suddenly targets remaining Silurian ships, its massive cannons swiveling with mechanical precision. Ensign Miguel Reyes, a quantum hacker from Earth's infamous Dark Army Collective, smiles as his override codes penetrate systems thought impenetrable. Once blacklisted for breaching his own government's networks, Reyes now serves as a digital warfare specialist, his unique skills legitimized in humanity's unified defense. Their security architecture is impressively sophisticated. He reports to Admiral Chen over quantum comms. But they designed it to keep aliens out, not humans who've been studying their systems for decades. The battle becomes a rout. Silurian vessels attempt to flee but find their navigation systems compromised. Marines breach the outpost's command center, their helmet cameras broadcasting the moment of Grand Admiral Zexor's capture throughout human space. The few surviving Silurians are treated humanely as prisoners, their wounds tended by human medics, but they are subjected to carefully designed psychological conditioning. Historical documentaries of human wars from ancient Rome to World War II, demonstrating humanity's long evolution of combat doctrines. "We don't want to destroy you," explains the human psychological warfare officer, her voice reasonable, almost kind. "We just want you to understand who you've provoked." As the Silurian prisoners watch footage of human conflicts spanning thousands of years, the brutal ingenuity, the constantly evolving tactics, the ability to adapt and overcome against all odds, they begin to comprehend the true nature of the species they had dismissed as primitive. One Silurian officer, watching footage of ancient humans with primitive spears bringing down massive beasts through persistence hunting, whispers a question that haunts all who hear it. What horror of evolution created creatures who turn warfare into an art? 6 months after the Battle of Proxima Outpost, the gleaming diplomatic station Concordia orbits Earth, its architecture a seamless blend of human ingenuity and alien aesthetics. Through its crystal viewing portals, the restored lunar surface is visible, now bearing a magnificent memorial to humanity's first steps beyond Earth, steps that the Silurian attack had temporarily erased. The Grand Assembly Chamber fills with representatives from 30 species, many of whom had observed galactic politics from the sidelines for centuries, wary of hegemony expansion. Today, they witness the formal end of that expansion. Silurian Supreme Leader Moxthar, his once proud bearing now subdued, approaches the signing table where UN Secretary-General Amara Okafor waits. Behind her stand military officers from Earth's unified defense forces, Admiral Chen among them. The terms are severe. Moxthar protests one final time, his voice barely carrying across the chamber. Reparations for 17 systems, technology transfers, military restrictions, cultural exchange programs. You demand much for a single unprovoked attack. Okafor's gaze drifts to the viewing portal where the lunar memorial gleams. The terms are just, she replies simply. Your empire was built on unprovoked attacks. We merely demand you dismantle it the same way. Moxthar's writing implement hovers over the quantum-secured treaty. And if we refuse, the question hangs in the air. No verbal threat is issued, but the memory of Proxima Outpost, where humanity dismantled the hegemony's greatest fleet in hours, provides answer enough. He signs. Beyond the expected diplomatic provisions, reparations, territorial concessions, and non-aggression pacts, the treaty includes an unprecedented requirement. Xylorian military academies must now include mandatory courses on human history taught by Earth professors. In a private antechamber afterward, Moxthar confronts Admiral Chen, intelligence officer Mira Locks at his side, now promoted to senior advisor for being the only one who had recognized the human threat. How? Moxthar demands, genuine bewilderment in his voice. How did a species barely unified, still burning fossil fuels in some regions, develop such devastating military capability while appearing so vulnerable? Chen studies him, considering how much to reveal. "We never stopped preparing for war," she finally says. "After our world wars, we realized that appearing peaceful was the best defense. But beneath that facade, we continued to innovate. The Cold War never truly ended, it just went underground. But the resources required," Moxthar presses, "the coordination across your divided planet. When the first Silurian scout ship crashed in 1947, Earth's governments realized we weren't alone," Chen explains. Competing nations suddenly found common cause. While publicly fighting over resources and ideology, privately we built the Artemis Accords, the first truly global defense initiative. "You've been preparing for us specifically." "For centuries. We prepared for anyone," Chen clarifies. "But your reconnaissance was sloppy. Each crashed ship taught us more about your technology, language, and tactical doctrine." Miralock steps forward. "You specifically targeted our technical vulnerabilities. Our shields designed for energy weapons, our communications encryption." Chen nods. "While you fought other stars, we spent millennia fighting ourselves, refining the art of violence that your kind engineered away. Every human conflict, from our tribal skirmishes to global wars, taught us something your species has forgotten. Adaptability born of desperation." As the Tylorian delegation departs, their vessels pass a new installation at the edge of the solar system. A quantum-locked warning beacon broadcasting in every known language. Its message is simple but chilling. Sol system. Protected territory of the Terran Defense Force. Unauthorized approach will be met with overwhelming force. We will not send a second warning. Aboard the departing ship, Miralox compiles her final report on Earth. She includes a phrase that quickly enters the lexicon of galactic diplomacy. To awaken Terra's wrath is to know true horror. In the decades that follow, the warning beacon is never tested. The footage from Proxima Outpost, shared strategically throughout the galaxy, ensures that no species dares to challenge the deceptively peaceful blue world that guards its borders with quiet, terrible vigilance. Humanity emerges onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers with the implicit understanding that their patience has limits. Their diplomatic course is unfailingly polite. Their cultural exchanges are generous. Their scientific cooperation is productive. But no one ever asks them to demonstrate their military capability again. They had already provided demonstration enough.